Welcome to Whaler Talk, hosted by the Hartford Whalers Booster Club. I'm Jerry Irwin, joining with Peter Hindle from the Examiner.com, and we're a little fired up tonight, talking about name changes, color changes, rebranding. We think negatively. I'm sorry, I think negatively. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Hartford Whalers Booster Club, just of us. So what are we doing tonight, Pete? What do we have going?
Well, there's been a lot of rumors were confirmed about the Rangers. They do not want to use the Connecticut Whale booster. They don't want to use the Connecticut Whale logo. They want to go with Connecticut Rangers or the Hartford Wolfpack, which they have plenty of merchandise for. That kind of leaked out into the open, and there's been a pretty solid response from the fan base saying basically that they don't want this change. There's been too many changes, and let Hartford have its own brand, give some respect to the Whaler fans that had that the 17-8-year NHL run. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't really want to embrace the Rangers. They want to embrace a Hartford brand.
Right,
really
correct.
What it's like.
Just to let you all know. We have a special guest. You just can't see him here. Yeah. He's the elusive Mark Anderson. He's our statistician for the Hartford Whalers Booster Club, and he joins us via the phone tonight. We're doing a little phone interview. Good evening, Mark. How are you?
Elusive? How we doing, guys?
Good. Good. Thanks for joining us. You're our main statistician. We love the numbers you put together. They are pro Whalers. Because we saw the jump in the name and the rebranding when Howard and the boys rebranded the name. The attendance went up.
Absolutely.
What can you share with us with what type of information you've gathered?
Well, the one that sticks out to me the most. And I'm pretty sure that I've shared this with Pete. I'm not sure if I've shared this with you or some of the other folks, but the Whale have had 94 regular season home dates since the rebrand on November 27th, 2010. Mm-hmm. And over that 94 home dates, attendance is up. It's just a shade under 1,000 fans per game compared to the last 94 dates under the Wolfpack brand, which go from November of 2010 through back to about the end of the 2007 season, 2007-2008 season. So 1,000 fans a game for 38 to 40 home games is 40,000 a season. And, I mean, I can't think of a single team in any sport that wouldn't want a 20% increase in attendance from one season to the next.
It's hard to argue
and that's what we're looking at here.
Right.
Now, when we look at, when the Whalers left in '97, we saw there was a major kick up in attendance. We had, and I think this was brought out, whether it was on Face the State, and I'm not sure where it was brought out, but they had a lot of veteran players for the Wolfpack back then. So we attracted a lot of people into Hartford for those games. But as the Rangers started to lose that and the youth came in, and they really did the whole New York thing to Hartford, you saw a decrease in attendance. Isn't that correct, Mark?
You are correct. I actually broke it out over the first 5 years of the Wolfpack from 1997 through 2002.
The good years.
They averaged 6,841 per game. Now, again, this is just regular season.
Sure.
Obviously, for everybody, I don't know, for people that don't know, in 2000 they did win the Calder Cup, which is the AHL championship, minor league championship. Take it for what it's worth. So I cannot find playoff numbers as much as I've tried. I do know because I was at a couple of the games. They had a game in the Game 7 against Providence, drew over 10,000.
Yeah, I was there. I was there for that one as well.
Rochester drew over 10,000. But that's just because I was in the building and I saw what was there. Right. So to continue on with this, from 2002 through 2007, and this was the 10-year period that Madison Square Garden ran the building as well as running the team. Okay, so they were doing everything on their own. The attendance fell from 6,841 a game to 5,222 a game. So you can see the drop already.
Right.
Okay, 1,600 a game over a 5-year period is a lot. And then from 2007 through 2010, which is AEG running the team, the marketing aspect of the team, the attendance fell all the way down to 4,261 per game.
Right.
So it dropped that much further.
And Mark,
and then, of course, if you go into the 3 seasons, the 2 seasons, full seasons, and then this season, again, the number is, as I said, 5,127. So there's no question about it that the brand, people want to say it's about promotion, people want to say it's about marketing. That's a part of it, but you can't tell me the brand doesn't have something to do with it.
Well, the other
you walk through that building on game nights and you see more Whaler jerseys than anything else. There's more Whaler jerseys than Wolfpack jerseys, than Whale jerseys, than Bruin jerseys, and Ranger jerseys.
Yeah, because that's because we're an NHL market, really. You know, and
Absolutely.
that's the other thing is, you know, these people that don't, the Whaler fans that do not come to the games, still feel jilted because we're an NHL city.
You know what else is interesting, Mark, too, and there's a couple things because, you know, people at home that may be skeptical about the numbers and all that, you know, there's a lot of talk about Baldwin inflating attendance numbers, but it's also something that's done throughout the league, in every sport, in every state. And also the other thing is, you know, a lot of people are saying that the Wolfpack weren't marketed from 2007 to 2009. Well, we know that the Whale had trouble because, you know, WC ran into some financial trouble where it was difficult to market the team. So, you know, all around, I think everything is very much on an equal playing field. The only thing that I would give a bone to would be that the brand was brand new, you know, whereas the Wolfpack had been around for, you know, declining for 9 years. Their attendance had been dropping.
But you have to remember when the Baldwins did the rebranding, and even at the end of their 2-year commitment, because they were asked to leave by people, it was one of those things where their attendance was still up.
Yeah. It still is now, under a different marketing company.
Yes, but you have to remember, they were in out of money. They didn't have money to market the team.
Right.
The team was starting to market itself.
Could you imagine what the difference would have been, Mark, if the team was marketed under the Whale brand the way that the Baldwins had intended?
And not only that, guys, but think about this, too. Think about it if Howard and the folks at Whaler Sports Entertainment had taken over the team earlier than they did. When they took the team over, it was September of 2010.
Right.
They only had, I think it was 20 days to promote and market the team, and they couldn't rebrand right away.
No, and they had
to wait 11 games into the season before they could rebrand in the first place.
Right, and they had to come up with that.
How much more would the attendance have been if they had rebranded starting on opening night? Right. That opening night of 2010, 2011, which was the first under WSE, for the Wolfpack drew just over 7,000. If that's a Whale game, based on these numbers, it would have drawn at least 8,000, probably more.
Right.
Well, the other thing is, you know, even Howard and Junior said when they were on the show that if they had the opportunity to start in the summer with their season ticket drive, with their marketing, with their advertising, you're absolutely right, Mark. They would have been well ahead of the season and the preparedness. It's just, you know, it was bad luck in the beginning. It was unfortunate that they were asked to leave prior to their 3-year commitment with their investors. You know, and now everyone's all of a sudden wondering, oh, what's going to happen with this team? Well, you know, I think, and I can speak with Pete and Sean, who's assisting us off camera, you know, the tweets, the Facebook, you know, the social media is alive. People are weighing in on this name change, the color change, whatever MSG and the Rangers and Global. Global's stepping into a whole new arena here in Hartford. Yes, Frank Russo was the guy back in the day, but we have to we have to create our own entity again,
Right.
and not have a fragmented market base.
Right, right. I mean, you just look at alone. I mean, the AHL's been in Hartford for this is their 17th year, I think, and
16.
No, 16 years. So next year's the 17th year, and if you look at it, 3 of the top 4 attendances for the team are under the Whale brand. You have opening night. You got the 13,089 on the Whale Bowl. You got 21,673. These are announced numbers. The 2-2 13 game just a couple weeks ago drew 13,239. So that's those are 3 dates spanning 3 seasons, and they're the highest attendances for AHL and Hartford under that brand. So. There's just
3 of the top 4 and 4 of the top 11.
Right.
And they've done it in 94 games.
Yeah, in 94 games. They haven't. There's a small... And, someone brought up a good point as to explain, what's so bad about naming the team Rangers? But, in former NHL markets, they never put the Winnipeg Oilers in there. They didn't put the Quebec Canadians in there because nobody wants a brand of another NHL team when you want the brand of your NHL team. So that's why the Manitoba Moose. That's why Quebec had a different name.
And people have gravitated towards the Whale.
Right.
And WSC, Mark, Howard Jr., they all said the same thing.
Right.
When they came up with this name, it was because people kept on saying, when are you bringing the Whale back? It's because people wanted it. The people made this happen, and hopefully with the people out there in the social media area, we'll make it happen positively.
Right. Well, I mean, we've already gotten some. We asked some people to tweet in or to post on Facebook or to contact us on the current message board. There's a thread out there. I asked some people what they thought about changing the name from Whale to Rangers or Whale to Wolfpack. Dane D at QuizGuy66 says they are changing to Rangers for real. That is awful and bad business for the Rangers as well, which, goes back to what Mark said. If you're going to drop 40,000 tickets, that's going to hurt your pocketbook a little bit.
And Global, like I said, Global's stepping into this new contract for 10 years.
Right.
Do they want to start out in the hole?
Right.
If you have something that works and they're good business people,
right.
You want them to really work with what's working right now in Hartford.
Right. Right. It's almost like buying a house, and you see the garage is closed, and the guy goes, "You can have the car, it's in there." So you're thinking it's a Mercedes or a BMW, and you open the door, and it's a Ford Escort, or it's a Pinto. It's a Pinto, or and it's like, well, you can't really go to town with that. You need something that's going to drive the market. Rangers is there's a certain amount of Ranger fans here, but they're just not in the majority. Out of the social media, when we've been looking at it, we're getting about a 9 out of 10. We're getting like the dentist cavity response, like 9 out of 10 dentists prefer this.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So we're getting like 9 out of 10 people.
Yep.
So.
And it's great to hear the responses. And as we've seen in the past couple days specifically, it's not just Whale fans, it's also Ranger fans that are voicing their opinion that they want to keep the Connecticut Whale name and logo out there, because it's not just us Whaler people or Connecticut Whale people. Right. It's all of them, and that's something to say for what everyone's created here in Hartford.
Right. Hey, Mark, did you have any of those stats? We always talk about the AHL that it ramps up after Christmas. Sometimes the attendance really kicks off. Did you happen to have those numbers that you had after Christmas by chance?
It absolutely does kick up after Christmas. I can give you a couple of numbers here really quick. For example, I'll just use the Whale as an example. This season, they had 15 games before Christmas, and they averaged 3,567 and some change. And now they've had 12 games after Christmas, and they're averaging 5,400 and change. So, I mean, that's a significant bump. And to go league-wide for a second, the league before Christmas averaged 5,238, and that's for every game, all 30 teams. And the after Christmas average is just over 6,000. Wow. So, I mean, that's, again, you're talking about, about 800 fans a game, which, again, is a significant difference. I mean, I'm just looking at the Hartford situation, and we go back to that 1,000 fans a game. We were talking about the difference between the Wolfpack brand and the Whale brand. If those 1,000 people spend, let's say, $30 a game, whatever it's on, whether it's on tickets or soda or beer or hot dogs or whatever, and then you multiply that out by 38 games. I mean, that's like $1.5 million of extra revenue coming into the building.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's not, I don't care who anybody is. That's not chicken feed. You know, that's a significant amount of money. And, you know, at a major league level, maybe $1.5 million to a team like the Rangers that's, you know, probably got one of the highest payrolls in the NHL, you know, and is one of the biggest revenue streams in the NHL because of the building and the cable network and everything else. To them, $1.5 million isn't a big deal, but to a minor league team, $1.5 million is a huge deal. Has to be.
And it is. You know, you see, you know, when you get a crowd in there that's you know, over 5,000. It gives you to bustle out in the concourse area. You want to get out there. You see the people buying all the food,
right?
And that's important. You know, Mark said it best. You know, you're spending $30 a game, whether it's on a beverage, whether it's, you know, the great food they have,
right?
And or on memorabilia,
right?
Whether it's at our table or even at the Connecticut Whale, they have their booth there as well. Right. And you know, that's important that, you know, the money's being generated in the hockey market.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even really sure. I mean, we haven't heard anything from the Rangers, and you know, it was the Current that said last week that the deal was imminent. It was close, but here we are over, what, 7-8 days later, and we still don't know what's going on. So I have to assume, because there's really nothing else really to discuss, they've had this building for so long, it must be talk over the branding. So there must be a little global Ranger tug of war going on or something.
I think I think the Rangers are insisting that their brand comes back as part of that contract.
Yeah.
And again, you have to wonder if, in fact, what if the Rangers don't come back? Mm-hmm. What if it's not the Rangers? What if they have to find another team? Are they going to have enough time to find another team? Yeah. Hypothetically,
right,
before next season.
Yeah, I mean, they're really under the gun because the CRDA, who gave them the contract to the building, told them that they have to guarantee to have a team.
Right,
so,
exactly.
You know, if the Rangers say, hey, we're out of here, we're not dealing with this Connecticut Whale stuff, well, then Global's really, they're really going to have to go out. Yeah.
And the other thing is, you know, when you look at the Rangers and what we don't know what they have in their hand either.
Right.
Are they making arrangements with someone else? You know,
right.
Are they going to be moving? And you know, Global. I think Global understands the severity of this. I think they're just being very cautious.
Right, right. And we know that the state wants to keep a team here that pays its bills. Mm-hmm. And the Rangers have always been able to do that. So I think the state is kind of favorable to the Rangers. They're not looking at it as from a fan perspective. They're looking at, well, these guys pay the bills,
sure,
right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, they probably want they're okay with keeping the Rangers, which, you know, we are too, if, you know, they can keep the branding.
What do you think about that, Mark?
I completely agree. To me, like, and I've been telling Pete this for a while now, the PR hit that the Rangers would take if they decided to go back to the Wolfpack or change the name yet again, it would be the second rebrand in 4 years, I think would be a public relations disaster. All of the good work that WSE put in over the 2 years they were here, bringing a lot of Whaler fans back into the building, people that haven't been going to games for 14 years are all of a sudden showing up at the Civic Center, Old Habits Die Hard, the XL Center. And so all of that good work would disappear because there are a lot of Whaler fans out there, and I'm speaking for myself when I say this, if they rebrand this team again and they go back to the Wolfpack, or God forbid they name the team the Rangers, I would have to seriously consider taking my AHL business elsewhere, which is something I don't want to do. I've been going to hockey games in Hartford since I was 9 years old, 30 years ago. You know, I mean, my first game was a 4-3 overtime win against the Rangers when Ron Francis pulled the Detroit play to blame Stoughton for an overtime winner with 8 seconds to go. You know, and I remember it like it happened 2 nights ago.
Right.
And that's, you know, that's the other thing. We have our history. We have our team, whether it's the Whalers, whether it's the Connecticut Whale, even the Wolfpack. And don't get me wrong, you know, I don't want them to call them the Rangers, the Wolfpack. I want it to be Whale. I want something green. You know, it's who we are. It's our identity. Right. And again, the consistency of of the team, again, I beat this like a dead dog, is really you're fragmenting again and again.
Right.
You're going to rebrand, just like Mark just said. You're going to rebrand again, and look what's going to happen. We need consistency to continue with, and I think Al said it best the other day, Al Victor of the Booster Club, and I'll read that on our second part of our show.
Yeah.
As he'll be joining us, is why do we have to keep on fighting with these people?
Right.
You know, just leave well enough alone.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up a good point about it, because it's really amazing to me that most Ranger fans, when I talk to them, can't see the difference between how they feel about it. I want to say it's almost like if the Flyers came in here and we asked these Ranger fans, your team's gone, root for the Flyers now. I mean, it's just not something that they're going to be comfortable doing.
Or the Bruins.
Right. Unless.
Right, Mark?
Yeah. Unless you put them out there and you make them more friendly to the fan base around it. And we're really just talking about laundry here. Is this that big of a deal? We have some more tweets here from people. Here we have on the Hartford Whaler message board a guy by the name of Whaler Chad. He thinks a new name should be used. So this would be different than Connecticut Whale and different than Rangers, which may not be a bad idea if it's localized within Hartford. So here's something he has. It's pretty good. He goes, he says, I think a new name should be used. That way compromise can be reached. Instead of Whalers and Whale fans arguing with Rangers and Wolfpack fans, we can all unite as one group of fans behind a new name. I would suggest Hartford Hornets, after the Hornet airplane engine built by Pratt & Whitney. Hornets are also fast and aggressive, which is great for a hockey team. Team colors could be yellow, black, and white, and a Hornet for a logo. Now, the yellow and black makes me a little hesitant, but I love the name. It's something local. It's within Hartford. We prefer the Connecticut Whale, but anything is going to be better than probably the Rangers right now in terms of drawing fans to the arena.
Sure, and he brings up a great point. It has to be our identity. Again, yes, Hartford Hornets, but again, I don't want black and gold. I don't want blue and red. I want green and white. That's our identity, or blue, white, and green. That's our identity. Yeah, right here. Look, we decorated.
I'm not a big fan of the gold and black, guys.
That's not. That's a little rough to take, but we're gonna have the Mark Twains. I mean,
right. We have to find something that is going.
And I don't even think the Rangers are open to a third option. I don't know this.
I don't think they're open. That's my opinion. I really don't.
No, it doesn't sound too open.
No, it doesn't.
I know.
But apparently, like you said before, there's a delay in this contract because someone's thinking about something.
Right. Here's some more. Here's on our Facebook page. Brittany DiBiase. Says, in terms of asking about the rebrand, she says, really? Rangers? Why is it that even a question? We forever bleed green. Long live the Hartford Whalers. Here's one from Steve Sirios. Leave it as Whale. Why change it to Rangers? So we've asked people, and believe me, if there was one on here that said, we want Rangers, I would read it to you. I'm not one of those guys, but I'm just not getting a lot of responses, the people that want the Wolfpack back or the Rangers back. There are some out there, there definitely are, but it's just, it's overwhelming the other way.
And the people we've spoken to at the games, at the Connecticut Whale games, we talked to Biggie, a great guy. And he's a Ranger fan through and through. And it's
diehard Rangers.
And but he's respectful, and that's a very important thing.
And he's fine with Connecticut Whale.
He is, and he has his Rangers blues on all the time.
Sure.
But he's a Hartford hockey fan, and he's easy to talk to, and and I think it's when you put him out there, it's a level playing field, and we can have a nice conversation together, and we're not enemies. And even the people on the Facebook page, we have quite a few people on the Booster Club Facebook page, and they voice their opinion on what's happened and so on. Some dig you here and there, but most of them are pretty respectful, which is good.
Yeah, there are a lot of it's not. We all are actually under the same roof. We're just watching hockey.
Yes, we are.
But we're just asking that it be geared towards most of what fans would like.
And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's it is about the hockey. Somebody asked me. Over the course of the last few days, of course, they just had 3 games in 3 nights, so we were over there a lot. And, well, what do you argue about this during the game? No. When the game's on, you sit and you watch the game, and you don't worry about what the name's going to be next week or what the name's going to be next year. You're worried about how they're doing on the power play, and is this guy going to get back to check this guy, and is Talbot going to make the big save? I mean, that's what you think about when you're in the game. And, you know, another kind of sidebar to this whole attendance thing is the team's always been good. To be completely fair, and this is not a knock on anything, the one thing I give the Rangers credit for immensely is when they came here 16 years ago, they said they were going to put a winning team on the ice. They were going to put a team on the ice that Hartford could be proud of, and they have done that. It's hard to make the playoffs 14 times in 15 years, and that's what they've done. And they're in a position now after this hot run that they've had where they can go 15 of 16. I mean, that's as good of a run as you're going to find anywhere.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, you know, so for that, they, to me, in my eyes, they get all the credit in the world. As much as I love the Whalers, there were years they were awful. We all know that. They were terrible. They were our team. They were our boys, and we loved them no matter what. But the Rangers have put a good, competitive, championship caliber, if they haven't always won it, team on the ice year in and year out. You cannot ask for any more than that. In that regard. The only thing we want is we just want something that connects the past with the present and hopefully, knock on wood, the future if the NHL ever knocks on the door again. That's all we're looking for.
And you know what? You're absolutely right.
I
mean, you heard the conversation with Dennis House the other day.
I did.
And that was, you know, it was a great show. We'll have to pick it up next time. We're getting towards the end of our show here. I think it's been a very productive hour or a half hour. And Mark, I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much for calling in, Mark.
You're welcome, guys. I want to throw one more thing out at you. I did a little comparison of numbers from 2007 through the 11th home game of 2010, which was the last game under the old brand, as opposed to from 2010 to 2013, and I did it for 13 Eastern Conference teams, with Hartford being in the mix. And I did this for one reason. I wanted to see where they would sit. Now, the two teams I didn't put in here were Lowell, because Lowell's not in the league anymore. Lowell moved to Albany a few years ago. And the other one was St. John's, who, of course, was in Manitoba and moved to St. John's 2 years ago. From 2007 to 2010, the then Wolfpack averaged 4,194, which was 9th of 13 teams in the conference. They were ahead of only Albany, Worcester, Springfield, and Norfolk. Since that point, from the rebrand night to the present, they're at 51-28, as I've mentioned, and that's 6th in the conference.
Wow.
So there is a jump.
Okay, good.
They're behind only Hershey, which is the best drawing team in the AHL. Providence, who's like second, Manchester, Wilkes-Barre, and Syracuse. So my point is that for those people that talk about it, and Pete, I know you've seen it on message boards and Facebook and whatever, where the people that say this 900 a game is nothing, well, it's a difference of 3 places in the conference, and it's probably a difference of about 10 to 12 places in the league. They're middle of the pack in the league at 51-28.
That's
41-94
awesome.
Puts them in the bottom quarter of the league.
Hey, we're up against the minute, Mark.
We got to head out, Mark.
All right, guys. Thank you.
We're going to have to check you next time on Whaler Talk.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.